All right, let's dive deep today. We're going to focus on your upcoming interview, for a mechanical forging press worker
Yeah.
position. And we've got these really awesome resources from RoleCatcher to help get you prepared.
Hmm.
They've got like a career guide
Ain't it?
and an interview guide,
Yeah.
and they're both like packed with insights specifically for this job. So,
Yeah. These guides they're really great. It's like, having a backstage pass to the whole world of mechanical forging. We're going to figure out what the job like really entails and help you get a good grasp on the career path. And then we'll really dive into those interview questions. So you can just knock them out of the park.
and did you know that forging like isn't just some, ancient blacksmith thing? It's actually really important
Mm-hmm.
to high-tech industries too.
Oh, absolutely.
Like think aerospace
Okay.
or automotive, even energy. They
Mm-hmm.
they all like rely on these precision forged components.
That's right. And the demand for these skilled forging press workers is it's only going up. So this is a career with a solid future. Why don't we start by, unpacking what the job actually involves?
Okay, so picture this, right? You're working with these powerful presses that use cranks, cams, and toggles to shape metal with like incredible force. It's not just brute strength though. It's about precision. You're creating these pipes, tubes, these I think they're called hollow profiles. Basically, like the building blocks of so many industries.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? It's these seemingly simple shapes are so foundational to all this complex machinery. Like without, precisely forged components, you wouldn't have the structural integrity for things like pipelines or, aircraft landing gear, even the frame of your car.
Oh, that's such a good point. It really puts into perspective the importance of this job. Speaking of perspective, the RoleCatcher Career Guide, it highlights some pretty key pros and cons.
Right. And it's not all sunshine and roses. The guide's like upfront about the physical demands and the potential for some long hours. But it also emphasizes the job security and good pay that come with, a skilled trade like this. Knowing both sides, going into the interview shows that you've really done your research, I think.
For sure, for sure. It's about, being realistic and prepared. And here's something I found super helpful in the career guide. It talks about the career stages for a mechanical forging press worker.
Oh, yeah. That's crucial.
Yeah.
Knowing this is really important for, tailoring your answers to whatever position you're interviewing for. Are you applying like as an assistant where you're going to be learning the ropes? Or are you going for a more senior role, where you'd be operating multiple presses? Or maybe even leading a team?
Yeah, that's where understanding like the different stages from entry level,
Bro.
to senior operator can really make your answers stand out. You can
Yeah.
demonstrate that you've got a vision for your future in this field.
Absolutely. And speaking of standing out, let's get to the heart of this deep dive. Those interview questions. The RoleCatcher interview guide's it's like a treasure map. It guides us through these tricky questions you might get.
Okay. Let's unpack that first one.
Mhm.
What inspired you to become a mechanical forging press worker? It seems, pretty straightforward. But what's the interviewer really trying to figure out here?
I think they're looking for, genuine passion
Hmm.
and some real insight. They want to know, like, what really sparked your interest, whether it was, a fascination with metalworking or, the desire to create, like, tangible products or maybe even, some kind of family connection to the trade.
Hmm.
This is your chance to tell your story and really connect with the interviewer on a more personal level.
So how can you, like, make your answer stand out? What would really impress you as
That's
an interviewer?
a good answer. Well, it kind of weaves that personal interest with relevant skills and experiences. Like you could say, I've always been drawn to, hands-on work. And in high school, I took a welding class. And I loved the feeling of building something like useful. When I found out about mechanical forging, I was captivated
Mm.
by the idea of shaping, raw metal into these essential components. See how that, combines personal passion with a little bit of your technical background.
That's a great example. It really shows that you've given this some thought.
Yeah.
And you're not just, reciting some generic response.
Exactly. And this is where RoleCatcher's AI can really come in handy. Their platform can analyze your answer and compare it to, the specific job description and the company values. And then it suggests ways to, tailor it even more. It's like having like a personal editor for your interview responses.
I'm really intrigued by this AI thing. It sounds like it could be a total game changer.
It really is. And it's not about like
Right.
replacing, your own effort. It's about making it smarter. You still have to, put in the work to craft those answers. But the AI it can help you refine them and make sure they're hitting all the right notes.
Okay, so you've got this, like, inspiring story, right, about your passion for forging. But now the interviewer hits you with this. What kind of experience do you have in operating mechanical forging presses? This one's all about showing off your skills, right?
Absolutely. This is where you really get into the specifics. Don't just list, the types of presses you've worked with. Think about the skills that are outlined in that RoleCatcher Career Guide. Things like setting up the press, loading and unloading the work pieces, inspecting those finished products, troubleshooting issues as they come up, and of course, following those all-important safety protocols.
So instead of just saying, I've operated a hydraulic press,
Yeah.
you might say.
You could say, I've got like 2 years of experience operating a hydraulic forging press, primarily working with steel to create components for, the automotive industry. I'm really proficient in setting up the machine and, adjusting the controls, making sure the work pieces are aligned properly. For forging, I also have experience in inspecting those finished products for quality control and performing like routine maintenance to keep the press running smoothly.
Oh, that paints a much more, like, detailed picture
Yeah.
of your capabilities. It's not just about, what you've done, but how well you've done it.
Exactly. And this is another area where RoleCatcher's AI can help. It can suggest adding some keywords,
Yep.
that are specifically in the job description, or like highlighting skills that are really valued by the company.
It really is like having a secret weapon for your interview prep.
It is.
Okay, on to question number 3.
Mhm.
How do you ensure the quality of the forged products you produce? This seems like a big one, right?
Yeah.
Especially in a field where precision is everything.
Yeah, you're totally right. This question is all about showing how meticulous you are and understanding that whole quality control process. Don't just say, I inspect the products. Walk the interviewer through the specific steps you take. Like visual inspection, looking for any imperfections, using calipers and gauges, to verify the dimensions, even, documenting those discrepancies and reporting them promptly.
So it's like about showing that you've got a system, a process,
Yeah.
and that you take it really seriously.
Yeah.
Could you give an example of a strong answer?
Sure. You could say quality control is like a top priority for me. I carefully inspect each forged product. I'm looking for any cracks, dents, any inconsistencies in the surface finish. I use calipers and gauges, like I said, to make sure the dimensions meet the tolerances. And I keep these detailed records of my inspections, flagging any issues that need attention.
Okay, that's really thorough. It shows you understand how important quality is, and that you have that systematic approach to making sure it's there.
Right. And remember that safety and quality, they kind of go hand in hand. In the conditions section, the RoleCatcher Career Guide really emphasizes how important a safe work environment is, and you can connect that to quality control by, mentioning that a safe worker is a meticulous worker, which leads to higher quality output.
Oh, that's such a good point. A safe work environment, it benefits everyone. Okay, let's move on to a question that really, like, tests those problem-solving skills. Can you describe a time when you had to troubleshoot a problem with a mechanical forging press? What are they looking for here?
Well, I think they want to see, how you think critically when you're under pressure. The STAR method is like your best friend here: situation, task, action, result.
Okay, walk me through that.
Okay, so first you got to set the scene. Describe the problem you had with the press. Then outline the task. What needed to be done to fix it? Next, you really detail the action you took step by step, highlighting that problem-solving process. And finally, share the result. How did your actions fix the issue?
So it's not just about, like, having faced a problem. It's about showing how you tackled it effectively.
Right.
Could you give me, like, an example?
Okay, so imagine you're working on a press and the die suddenly becomes misaligned. You could say, during a production run, I noticed the forged components were coming out deformed. I stopped the press right away and I inspected the die mechanism. Turns out a securing bolt had come loose, causing the misalignment. So I tightened the bolt, recalibrated the die, and then I ran a test piece to make sure everything was working okay. By, acting fast and using my knowledge of the press mechanics, I was able to prevent any further damage and, minimize that production downtime.
That's a great example. It really shows initiative and problem-solving skills and that focus on safety by stopping the machine right away.
Exactly.
So,
the more specific and detailed your example is, the more credible and impactful it'll be.
okay. Let's keep this momentum going. Question 5. How do you prioritize your tasks when operating, like, multiple presses at the same time? This sounds like it takes some serious multitasking.
Oh, it definitely does. The interviewer really wants to see your organizational skills here and your ability to manage multiple priorities. The key is to explain your system for prioritizing. What are the factors you consider when deciding which task to do first?
What kind of, like, factors would really impress an interviewer? What would make them think, okay, this is someone who can handle a busy production environment?
I think things like production deadlines, the complexity of each task, the potential impact of, delays, and any specific instructions from like your supervisor. You can also mention the typical interaction section of the RoleCatcher Career Guide. Do you have to coordinate with like other operators or supervisors? Mention that too.
So it's about showing that you're not just, like, randomly jumping between tasks, right? You've got a strategic approach to keeping everything running smoothly.
Exactly. A good answer might sound something like this. When I'm managing, multiple presses, I prioritize tasks based on like urgency. Rush orders and tight deadlines, they always come first. I also think about the complexity of each task. If something needs, specialized tooling or has a higher risk of error, I'm going to prioritize that accordingly. And of course, I always stay aware of like that overall production flow, coordinating with my team members to make sure we're all on the same page and working efficiently.
Okay. That sounds very organized
Hmm.
and efficient. It shows you're thinking about the big picture and not just, focusing on one task at a time.
Exactly. And that's what you want to get across.
Okay.
Are you ready for a question that's absolutely crucial in this field?
Oh, bring it on.
Yeah.
Safety is always a top priority, so I'm guessing this next one's all about that.
You got it. Question 6. How do you ensure the safety of yourself and your teammates while operating the presses? This is paramount, when you're working with heavy machinery.
Absolutely. What are some, like, key points to emphasize when answering this question?
First and foremost, highlight your commitment to following all the safety protocols. This includes wearing the right PPE, your safety glasses, gloves, hearing protection. You know the drill. Mention any specific safety procedures you're familiar with, like lockout, tagout procedures for maintenance.
And the RoleCatcher Career Guide is, like, really helpful here, right?
Yeah.
It goes into detail about those safety conditions specifically for this job.
Oh, it's a great resource. You can really, draw on those specific points. It shows the interviewer that you've done your research and that you're prepared to work in a safety-conscious environment. You can also talk about how you, promote a culture of safety among your team. Do you encourage people to, to report any potential hazards? Do you speak up if you see someone like cutting corners? Those are all important things to mention.
So it's about, like, showing that you're not just, following the rules, but that you're actively promoting a safe work environment for everyone.
Yeah.
Could you give me an example of a, like, strong answer?
Sure. A good response might sound something like, safety is non-negotiable for me. I always wear the required PPE, my safety glasses, gloves, and hearing protection. I'm also really diligent about following those, lockout, tagout procedures. When I'm doing any maintenance on the equipment, I encourage my teammates to do the same and to always report any hazards immediately. I firmly believe that a safe work environment is the foundation for everything we do.
That's a powerful statement. It shows that you're not just thinking about, like, your own well-being, but the well-being of everyone around you.
Exactly. And that's the kind of attitude, that employers really value. Now, ready for another question? That kind of tests your adaptability.
Oh, hit me with it. Every job has its curveballs, so I'm ready to hear how to handle the unexpected.
All right. Question 7. How do you handle difficult or challenging orders? This is all about showing, your ability to stay calm, think critically, and find solutions when things get tough.
That's a really important skill, especially in a fast-paced manufacturing environment. What are some, like, strategies for tackling this question?
Well, first you want to show, that you don't just crumble under pressure. Difficult orders, they can be stressful, but, the interviewer wants to see that you can handle the challenge without getting, flustered. Second, you got to demonstrate that problem-solving, prowess. Explain how you break those complex orders down, into manageable steps, and how you seek out solutions when you encounter obstacles.
So it's not about pretending you never, like, face challenges. It's about showing your ability to overcome them.
Precisely. And don't forget to mention your your communication skills. Difficult orders, they often need, clear communication with both the customer and your team members. Highlight how you keep everyone in the loop. Manage expectations. And work collaboratively to find the best solution.
Okay, so could you give an example of how to answer this question effectively?
Okay, so let's say you had to fulfill an order with, some unusual specifications. That required modifying the standard forging process, you could say. When I get a difficult order, I first make sure I understand the customer-specific requirements. If there's anything that's, unclear, I reach out to them to clarify their needs. If the order requires any changes to the standard forging process, I talk to the engineering team to develop the best approach. I also keep my supervisor and my teammates informed, throughout the process to make sure that we're all on the same page. My goal is always to, deliver high-quality products while maintaining open communication and collaborating with everyone.
Oh, that's a great example. It shows your proactive approach and your communication skills and your willingness to, collaborate to find that best solution.
Exactly. Now, are you ready for question 8? This one's all about staying ahead of the curve in the ever-evolving world of forging.
Oh, bring it on. Technology is constantly changing, so I'm eager to hear how to show that you're committed to lifelong learning.
Okay, here we go. How do you stay current with the latest advancements in the mechanical forging industry? This question is, it's your chance to showcase how dedicated you are to professional development and to staying on top of your field.
So what are some ways to demonstrate that commitment?
Well, there are a few great ways. First, you can talk about any courses, workshops, or conferences you've attended, especially if they're related to forging technologies or safety practices. Second, talk about any publications you read or websites you follow to stay informed about, trends and advancements.
Okay, so reading trade journals, attending conferences, things like that.
Exactly. You can also mention any professional organizations you belong to, the Fabricators and Manufacturers Association International or the International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers. Networking with other professionals is a fantastic way to stay in the loop.
Oh, that's a great point. So it's a strong answer might sound like.
I'm really committed to staying, at the forefront of the mechanical forging industry. I regularly attend professional development workshops offered by, mention a relevant organization. And I also subscribe to industry publications and then mention a publication. And I follow relevant online forums, to stay informed about new technologies and materials safety practices. Plus, I'm an active member of and mention that professional organization, which lets me, network with other professionals and exchange knowledge.
Ooh, that's a fantastic answer. It shows that you're taking, concrete steps to stay ahead of the curve. Now, I know we have one more question to cover, and I have a feeling it's a big one, especially if you're aiming for a leadership role.
You're right on the mark. Question 9 is, how do you motivate and lead your team members to achieve their goals? Now, this may not be relevant for every, position, especially, those entry-level roles, but if you want to lead a team, you got to be prepared to answer this, effectively.
So how do you approach a leadership question like this?
The key is to demonstrate your understanding of, effective leadership principles and your ability to inspire and guide others. Talk about your leadership style. Are you collaborative, results-oriented? Do you prefer a coaching approach? Then give some specific examples of how you've motivated and led teams before.
So it's not enough to just say, I'm a good leader.
Yeah.
You need to back it up with real-world examples.
Precisely. Think about times when you've helped, team members overcome challenges or achieve goals or even develop new skills. You can also mention those leadership responsibilities that are described in the career stages section in the RoleCatcher Career Guide, especially for those senior positions.
Could you give an example of a strong answer to this question?
Sure. Let's say you were leading a team and they were struggling to meet, their production quotas. You could say, I believe in a collaborative leadership style. One that empowers team members to contribute their ideas and to take ownership of their work. When my team was having trouble meeting those production goals, I made sure there was open communication to understand the root cause of the issue. We worked together to, identify bottlenecks in the process, and we developed solutions that improved our efficiency. and our productivity. I also gave, I gave regular feedback
Yeah.
and recognized my team members, which helped, boost morale and motivation. And as a result, we were able to, consistently exceed our production targets.
Wow, that's a really compelling answer. It really demonstrates your ability to, identify problems and work collaboratively and inspire your team to achieve success.
And, this is just one example. Think about your own experiences and how you've, demonstrated those leadership qualities in the past. The more specific and relevant your example is, the better, the more impact your answer will have.
This has been an incredible deep dive into the world of mechanical forging press workers. We've covered so much ground already, from the technical stuff to the importance of safety and continuous learning. And of course, we've learned how to answer those tricky interview questions with confidence and clarity.
And we've only scratched the surface. We still have a lot more to discuss about how RoleCatcher's AI features can really take your interview prep to the next level.
I can't wait to learn more about that. Stay tuned. We'll be back to dive into the magic of AI and how it can help you, tailor your answers and land that dream job.
Welcome back. We've been, going through getting ready for that mechanical forging press worker interview. And you've gotten some really great advice on how to, really showcase your passion and experience and all those problem-solving skills you have. But now it's time to bring in the power of technology to, refine those answers and give you a real edge.
I'm so ready for this AI magic. It's like, having this tech-savvy career coach right in your pocket.
Right.
Can you walk me through how, RoleCatcher's AI actually helps, with interview prep?
So it's all about personalization. RoleCatcher's AI takes that, specific job description you're going for and it analyzes it, like a code breaker. It's looking for those keywords, those must-have skills, even the company's values that might be, kind of hidden between the lines.
So it's not just giving generic advice. It's tailoring the feedback to the exact job I'm going for.
Exactly. Let's say the job description, really emphasizes teamwork. The AI might suggest adding a phrase like, I really thrive in collaborative environments, where I can contribute to those shared goals, to your answers. It's about aligning your responses with what the employer is looking for, but in this subtle, powerful way.
It's like having a cheat sheet for the interview,
Hmm.
but in a totally ethical and helpful way.
Oh, I love that analogy. Yeah, it's not about, cheating. It's about being strategic and leveraging, all the tools you've got to present yourself, the best way you can.
Okay, so I input my answers. The AI gives me feedback. What else can this magical AI do?
Remember how we talked about the STAR method for those behavioral questions?
Mm-hmm.
Well, RoleCatcher's AI can analyze your STAR stories too. It checks if they're structured effectively and if they're really hitting on those most important points.
So it's not just about the content of the story. It's also how you tell it.
Yeah, you got it. The AI might suggest reordering certain points in your story, adding more detail to the action section where you describe what you did, or strengthening the connection to the result to really show the impact you made. It's like having a seasoned storyteller, helping you craft this compelling narrative for the interviewer.
That's amazing. Yeah, it really is like having, this whole team of career experts at your fingertips, all thanks to, the power of AI. But I also wanted to kind of circle back to something from the career guide.
Okay.
It mentions the importance of continuous learning in this field. Why is that so crucial for, a mechanical forging press worker?
That's a great point. The manufacturing world, it's always changing with, new technologies, materials, even safety regulations are always popping up. So a mechanical forging press worker who's, really eager to learn and adapt and stay ahead of the curve, incredibly valuable.
So how do you demonstrate that, that commitment to learning in an interview? What would make an interviewer think, okay, this is someone who's really invested in their career growth?
Well, we touched on this a little bit before, but it's worth repeating. Talk about any, courses, workshops, or conferences you've been to, especially if they relate to, forging technologies or the latest safety stuff. Mention any publications you read or online forums you follow to stay up to date on trends.
So it's not just about what right now, but showing that you're always wanting to, learn and grow. It's that growth mindset.
Yeah.
that really impresses people.
Oh, absolutely. And speaking of growth, let's get back to those interview questions. We left off with a question about leadership,
Yeah.
but now let's kind of shift gears to something a little more technical. Get ready for this one. Can you explain the role of cranks, cams, and toggles in a mechanical forging press?
Ooh. This one gets into the nuts and bolts, so to speak, of the machinery. It's a chance to really, like, show off your technical knowledge.
Yeah.
But for those who might not, be familiar with all these terms, could you break down, like, what each component does?
Sure. Think of it like a chain reaction of force and motion, and it all starts with the crank,
Okay.
which provides that initial rotational force, like turning a lever. Then the cam comes in. It's shaped in a way that translates that rotational force from the crank into linear motion. Think of it like pushing a button, in and out.
So the crank turns, the cam pushes. What about the toggle?
The toggle is the powerhouse. Its design takes that linear motion from the cam, and it amplifies the force that's applied to the metalwork piece. It's what delivers that immense pressure needed to shape the metal.
That's really interesting. So it's not just about, like, raw power.
Yeah.
It's about this carefully orchestrated system
Mm-hmm.
of components working together to get that precision shaping.
Precisely. And being able to, explain that system clearly really shows, a deeper understanding of how the press works.
So when answering this question, in the interview, it's important to go beyond just defining those terms. It's about showing that you get how they interact to get that desired result.
Yeah, you could say something like cranks, cams, and toggles, they all work together in a mechanical forging press to generate and amplify the force that's needed to shape the metal. The crank converts rotational motion into linear motion, which is then transferred to the cam. The cam's shape, it translates this motion even further. And then, finally, the toggle amplifies the force, delivering that powerful punch to the metalwork piece.
That's a great way to showcase your understanding of the mechanics of the press. It shows the interviewer that you're not just someone who can, operate the machine, but that you actually understand the principles behind it.
And that level of understanding is what sets you apart from the other candidates. Now, let's switch gears again to a question that dives into, the materials you might be working with. What are some of the key properties of steel that make it, suitable for forging?
Okay, this is where a little bit of, like, material science comes in handy. Why is steel such a popular choice for forging? What makes it, stand out from other metals?
Steel is kind of a superstar in forging for a few reasons. First, it's incredibly strong and durable, able to withstand those huge forging forces without, cracking or breaking. Second, it's got excellent ductility, meaning it can be, shaped and deformed without losing its strength. And third, it's relatively inexpensive and widely available, making it a practical choice for a wide range of applications.
So strength, ductility, and affordability, a winning combo. But there are different types of steel, right?
Right.
Does that play a role in forging?
Oh, absolutely. The RoleCatcher Career Guide, it mentions different steel alloys. Alloying steel with elements like chromium or nickel, molybdenum, can really enhance its properties, making it even more suitable for specific forging, applications. Like, for example, adding chromium increases its resistance to, corrosion and heat, making it great for parts that are going to be exposed to, like, harsh environments.
That's really interesting. So when answering this question, it's not enough to just say steel is strong. You really got to show that you understand the nuances of those different alloys and how they impact the forging process.
You got it. You could say something like, steel's a great material for forging because it's got, high strength, ductility, and it's affordable. But, different alloys are used depending on what properties you want in that final product. For example, high carbon steel is known for its hardness and strength, while stainless steel is chosen for, its corrosion resistance. Understanding, all these little differences allows me to pick the best material for each forging job.
That's a really good answer. It shows a much deeper understanding of the material and its applications. Now, I know safety's, like, super important in this job, and the RoleCatcher guides really, really emphasize that. Let's tackle a question that gets to the heart of, safety procedures. Can you describe the lockout tagout procedure and explain why it's important in the forging process?
This is a crucial question. Lockout tagout is a safety protocol that's essential in any industrial setting, where there's machinery, but especially in forging, where the forces and the temperatures are so high.
For those who, may not be familiar with this procedure, can you explain what lockout tagout is?
Of course. Lockout tagout is this systematic process used to, de-energize machinery before doing any maintenance or repairs or adjustment. It involves physically, locking out the energy source, like disconnecting a power supply or closing a valve, and then tagging it with a warning that clearly says the equipment's being worked on and shouldn't be operated.
So it's like a double layer of protection.
Yeah.
To prevent, like, accidental startup of the machine while someone's working on it.
Exactly. The lockout prevents the energy source from being, accidentally reconnected. And the tagout is a visual warning to anyone who might, approach the equipment.
What are some key things to highlight when answering this question, in the interview?
Well, first, you want to demonstrate that you clearly understand the steps involved in lockout tagout. You could say something like, the lockout tagout procedure, it starts with figuring out, all the potential energy sources for the equipment. Then we isolate those sources, physically locking them out using, devices like padlocks or valve covers. Next, we make sure that the energy is, really isolated before we put on those tags that clearly say that the equipment is being serviced and shouldn't be operated.
So it's a very deliberate and methodical process, leaving no room for error.
Exactly. And it's important to emphasize how important, lockout tagout is. In the forging process, you could add lockout tagout is absolutely critical in forging because it protects workers from, those serious injuries that could happen if the machine suddenly starts up. During maintenance or repairs, it's a safety protocol that I take very seriously.
That's a powerful statement. It shows the interviewer that you prioritize safety.
Right.
Above all else.
Absolutely.
Now we've talked a lot about the technical side of the job, but there's also a human element to this to this work. Let's explore a question that kind of touches on teamwork and communication. Can you describe a time when you had to work with your team to solve a problem during the forging process?
Oh, this is a great chance to show off those interpersonal skills you have and your ability to to work as part of a team. Remember, forging often takes a coordinated effort. And employers, they really like candidates who can, contribute to a positive and productive work environment.
What are some key elements to include when answering this question?
Well, first, you set the scene. Describe the specific problem you ran into during, the forging process. Then highlight everyone's, roles and responsibilities of each team member who was involved in fixing the issue. Next, explain how you communicated effectively. With your team, whether it was through, clear instructions or, really listening to each other or brainstorming solutions together.
So it's about showing your ability to collaborate and to communicate. And to, contribute to a good outcome.
Exactly. You could say something like, during one production run, we had a problem with inconsistent heating of the metal billets. This was affecting the quality of the parts. So I immediately told the furnace operator, and they adjusted the heating parameters. At the same time, I worked with the quality control inspector to find any defective parts that needed to be, reworked. We kept each other, in the loop the whole time. And by working together, we were able to quickly fix the issue and minimize, production downtime.
That's a great example. It shows that you can, identify the problem and you can communicate well with your team and collaborate to find a solution.
Exactly. And remember, the more specific and detailed your example is, the more believable and impactful it will be. Now, before we go on to our last set of questions, I wanna really emphasize that RoleCatcher's AI can be a really valuable tool throughout this whole process.
Oh, I'm so glad you brought that up. We've been talking about how the AI can help, tailor answers to specific job descriptions and analyze those star stories. But are there other ways it can help with interview prep?
Absolutely. RoleCatcher also has AI-powered video practice, which is like having, a personal performance coach right in your living room.
Video practice. Tell me more.
It's amazing. So you record yourself, answering these practice questions just like you would in a real interview. Then the AI looks at your video and it gives you feedback on your delivery, your body language, even your tone of voice.
Wow. That's incredible. I can see how that would be like super helpful for boosting your confidence
Mhm.
and making sure you come across as genuine and professional.
Exactly. The AI might, it might suggest speaking a little more slowly, making more eye contact, maybe even smiling more. These subtle adjustments can really change, how you're perceived by the interviewer.
This is such a valuable tool. It really is like having a secret weapon to help you ace that interview. Now, I know we still have some more ground to cover, so let's take a quick break
Hmm.
and come back and tackle those last few questions.
Welcome back. We've really covered a lot in getting ready for that mechanical forging press worker interview. From all the, technical details to the importance of safety and teamwork and always learning, you're on the right track to making a really great impression.
And we've seen how RoleCatcher's AI can be like this game changer, right? Helping you make your answers, perfect.
Yeah.
And analyzing those star stories and even practicing how you come across
Yeah.
with that AI-powered video feedback. It's like having a whole team of career experts,
That's
right there with you.
Exactly. But there are a few more questions we got to go over, and these are all about like showing what makes you stand out. The things that are more than just skills and experience.
Oh, I love that. It's about like showing the interviewer who you are as a
Yeah.
person, right? And what you bring to the team. What kind of questions should we be ready for in this area?
Well, one they often ask is, what are like your biggest strengths as they relate to this role? This is your chance to really highlight those personal things that make you valuable. Things like your work ethic, your problem-solving abilities, your communication skills, or how dedicated you are to teamwork.
So it's not just about listing like, generic strengths. It's about like connecting them to what the job needs.
Exactly. For example, you could say, one of my biggest strengths is that I pay attention to detail. I'm really meticulous. In a role like this, where precision is so important, I know how crucial it is to get every measurement and adjustment right. I'm also really organized and efficient, which lets me, handle a lot of tasks at once and prioritize effectively, especially when things are, moving fast.
That's a great example. It shows you've thought about how those strengths fit with what the job needs.
Yeah.
What about those areas where we might need to improve? How do we handle that dreaded question? What are your
Well,
weaknesses?
yes, the classic weakness question. It's a bit of a trap, but you can handle it well. The key is to choose a weakness that's, not too major and
Yeah.
something you're actively working on improving, and always put a positive spin on it.
So instead of saying like I'm terrible at public speaking, you might say,
You might say something like, I sometimes get so focused on the task at hand that I can get a little isolated from the team. I've noticed this, and I'm really working on my communication skills, making sure to check in with my colleagues and keeping everyone updated on my progress.
that's a great way to approach it. It shows like self-awareness,
Yeah.
and a willingness to get better and a commitment to the team.
What about questions that focus on, our career goals? I'm guessing those are important for showing, our ambition and what we see for ourselves in the long run.
You're absolutely right. Questions like where do you see yourself in 5 years, or what are your long-term goals, for your career, are really common ways for them to assess your commitment to the field and your potential to grow within the company.
So how do we answer those in a way that shows, we're ambitious, but also like realistic
Yeah.
and aligned with what the company wants.
Well, the RoleCatcher Career Guide is really helpful for this. It lays out that typical, career path for a mechanical forging press work. You can use this as like a framework for answers, showing that you understand the path ahead and you're eager to take on those new challenges
Yeah.
and responsibilities. So instead of just saying, I want to be a manager, you might say,
You might say, in 5 years, I see myself as a really skilled, senior forging press operator, leading a team and mentoring new employees. I'm eager to keep learning and getting better, and eventually, taking on more responsibility in quality control or process improvement. I'm really excited about the growth opportunities within this company, and I'm committed to helping it succeed.
oh, that's a fantastic answer. It shows ambition and a clear understanding of the career path and a real interest in contributing to the company's long-term goals.
And remember, it's always a good idea to tie your answer back to that specific company. Research their mission, their values, their growth plans to tailor your response even more.
Well, that's a great tip. It shows that you've really done your homework.
Yeah.
And you're genuinely interested in being a part of your team.
Yeah.
Now, I know we've been, focusing a lot on specific questions, but are there any just general tips, for making a good impression during the interview?
Oh, absolutely. First and foremost, be yourself. Authenticity goes a long way. Second, be prepared. Do your research on the company, practice your answers and have some thoughtful questions ready to ask the interviewer. Third, dress professionally and be on time. Being punctual shows respect for the interviewers, for their time.
Those are great reminders. It's about showing, professionalism, preparation,
Yeah.
and genuine, enthusiasm for the opportunity.
Exactly. And remember, even if you stumble on a question or two, don't panic. Take a breath. Gather your thoughts. And keep your focus on showing your skills and your passion for the work.
This has been such an insightful deep dive into the world of mechanical forging press workers. We've gone over everything,
Yeah.
from the technical stuff to the importance of safety and teamwork and always learning. And we've learned how to handle those interview questions with confidence and clarity, using RoleCatcher's amazing resources and their AI tools.
It's been great sharing these insights. Remember, with the right preparation and a positive attitude, you can definitely ace that interview and get that dream job.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you found it valuable and empowering. We'll be back soon with another episode.
Looking at a new topic and helping you unlock your full potential. And until then, best of luck in your job search.